Okay, and we're back. We are joined by Mr. Bill Hurst. If your son has played baseball in Monroe County, you probably know Bill. Strike zone is terrible. But Bill is an Army veteran and has some knowledge of what the cause is here today. And thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys having me. Appreciate you guys being out here today and bringing awareness to the issue. Not just military guys. I mean, young kids, middle-aged adults, people that you would never know. It happens.
So how have you been affected by?
4 years ago, I had a friend of mine named Brian Zeiger, which they have a golf tournament for in the fall out of the Acorns. Went home after being with me, and about 4 hours after he left me, went home and committed suicide. After that happened, we lost 2 more friends in the next year that were 25 years old, one male, one female, to the same thing.
And like Hank was talking about Noah, I mean, probably that guy that night, you would never in a million years think that would happen.
I told the police when they called me, because they knew that I was with him that night, that was probably the best mood I had seen him in a long time. And something happened between the time he left me at 10 p.m. and 2 or 2:30 a.m. the next morning. Something, I think it was a call from an ex-girlfriend that just triggered it. And they found him the next day.
And
so
how many, old buddies from the Army and stuff like that, or maybe not even buddies, but, you guys all kind of keep in touch. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of numerous guys that this has happened to.
Well, yeah. I gave Hank a bracelet. As a matter of fact, today I gave him a bracelet that says 22 a day. And that's the number of veterans that they lose a day that they estimate from suicide.
Is that right?
Yeah, because the mental health issue with veterans is so great, and the VA is so slow in getting them in there that they just go under the radar and nobody ever notices.
Wow, 22 a day.
Being an ex-veteran, and even during Desert Storm, we didn't see nearly what they saw during the Iraqi conflict, during the Saudi or the Afghanistan conflict. So I can only imagine what them guys are going through just based on what little I saw over in Desert Storm. And they come home and they're not the same, and they act like it. We could be talking like we're talking here, and you guys think I'm completely fine, and I could go home and just be in the deepest, darkest place I've ever been in my life. So they hide it well.
And why do you think that is? Just because it's the training part of it? I mean, why?
Because we're guys. We're guys.
Yeah, I know, but still, you can tell if somebody's down in the dumps usually or something like that. But it seems like the veteran, the tough guy, the training of never let them see a sweat kind of. That attitude.
Yeah, good point. You're absolutely right. But to go back with like the night that I was with Brian, great mood, cutting up. We went to New Athens. We had dinner. We had drinks. He left my house at 10 o'clock, and the last thing I said to him was, "Be safe." That's the last words I ever spoke to him. And, didn't know. I mean, not a clue. And I beat myself up for a while because I'm like, what did I miss? What didn't I see?
Right.
And there was nothing that I missed or nothing that I didn't see because he made sure not to let anything. And he may not even known then.
Right.
What happened later in the evening may have been just that simple little trigger that pushed him. But, you're taught as a man from the time you're little, wipe it off, rub some dirt on it. You're fine. You had sons that play baseball. What they think is a major injury, you're like, you're fine, get up, keep playing.
Right.
That's just how you're taught as a guy. So when you get to this point, especially military, macho, ego, you don't want anybody to know that something's wrong with you. Excuse me. But I think that's part of the problem. Guys don't want to talk to anybody.
And especially, like you said, with the VA being a little slow to kind of help that out. I mean, do they have other options out there, or is that about?
You would hope they do. I know, like a lot of the VA, I've heard of guys calling the VA, and we'll get you in next week. Well, I'm having issues right now.
Right.
I need to talk to somebody right now. Who do you call? Because as you get older, to me, you may know a million people like me, but your friend group may be the size of a dime. Who do I call at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm stressed and when I'm freaking out? Who's going to listen to me? Who do I want to wake up? Because then you feel like a burden. then you feel like you're bothering somebody because that's just another thing you're taught. Don't handle it. Figure it out yourself. Okay. I don't know. I wish I had an answer because it's, and it's not just, the mental illness. It's the addiction side of stuff. And I know this is and I kind of think today's kind of covering addiction issues if I understood Hank correctly because of a relative they had. Right. I have a son that is 5 years clean that went through the depression and the addiction thing. And, there was times that we were waiting for a phone call at 3 a.m. from the county sheriff that they found him. And luckily he fought through it and pushed hard through it and got through it and everything's good. He's good now. He's doing well. He's a functioning, member of society with a good job, does hard manual labor, and he's fine. He's a good dad to his kids. But there was days because of the addiction and the mental illness. That's a double whammy right there.
What do you think it is about military that stands out as far as the suicide? I mean, is it things they see? Is it being away from family and friends from home? I mean, what do you think it is about the military that, and maybe we talk about it more because of the military, and it might not be a higher percentage than it is of just your average citizen, but man, it seems like people come home with issues more than just your average Joe.
Yeah, it's the isolation because, once you leave the military, you feel like you left the camaraderie of, you hear a lot of guys say, these are my brothers, right. These are my family, because you get so, especially guys that are in combat. I can't say, I can speak on what I think I know about combat because of being an ex-military guy, but these guys that are in like deep combat, when they leave that connection, that brotherhood, that source of protection that they have. And, they just get out and all of a sudden now we're isolated. We're alone. We may be living with our wife. We may be living with our family. We may have friends around, but you're isolated because you don't have that same connection. Nobody knows what you've been through. So, like, I couldn't come talk to you guys if you guys have never been in the military about what I just went through, about seeing the body parts or, they had to shoot a kid because he's walking down the street with an IED or a weapon. That weighs on you. I mean, even during Desert Storm, we saw some pretty gruesome stuff, but it's nothing like these guys go through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of.
Sorry.
Same thing with the fire service. I'm not to a tenth of that extent, but there's certain things that we talk about that we don't talk to everybody about. So I could see that. But you watch enough movies and TV shows, and everybody's itching to get back. You know what I mean? And you get that 35, 40-year-old range, and you still know those guys that stuff's going down over here or over there, and they always want to get back to that brotherhood and that sense of purpose and that kind of stuff.
Well, even the fire service, police officers, you guys I'm sure see stuff that nobody should have to see. Kids in fires and kids in car accidents and just. So I can even see it reach, extend into that because one of the young people that I was speaking of that had just committed suicide, the same about a year after my friend Brian did. She, which is unusual, 25-year-old female, had just got her dream job of being a cop. She was National Guard, military police, and something happened. We're not sure what it was, but her dad walked in to check on her because they hadn't heard from her, and she was sitting in front of her couch, and she had shot herself. So, there's no suicide and mental illness they don't care how old you are. They don't care if you're male, female, white, black, green. It doesn't care because it's gonna get you. And a lot of people, like I said, hide it well. Unfortunately.
So what can we do to, I don't want to say help prevent this, but help benefit these people? Or what can we do for them? I mean, obviously we're not in that same boat. So how can we help, even if the VA, takes a week or two to get back to you?
They always say check on your battle buddies. So basically what they mean by that is if you guys just, as regular everyday people know somebody that was in the military, know somebody that was in combat, just, friends, acquaintances, reach out to them every now and then. Just send them a text. Just shoot them a text. Hey, man, how you doing? Something simple, Because once somebody gets isolated and they get set apart from everybody else, all of a sudden they start thinking that they're forgotten. And then you go into a deeper hole and then a deeper hole. But, let's say you know Joe down the street and you see him on his porch. Don't just wave to him, stop by and, hey, man, how's it going? How you doing? Grab a beer, walk down, hey, just shoot the breeze with him or whatever and just have a beer with him. Check in on your guys that you know. Like even as, like firefighters, you guys, if you guys come up on a horrific crash or something and have to see something terrible, check in on your buddies the next day or week or whatever and see how everybody's doing. And it's just you get to the point where you think that you're invisible, and I think that would be the simplest start. That's your basic low level thing you can do for veterans or first responders or anybody is just check on them. Let them know that they're being thought about. Let them know that they haven't gone on the way. They haven't been tossed to the wayside. They're not just yesterday's news. I got a buddy of mine in Waterloo that he's told me in the past that he's got a bullet that he keeps in his nightstand. He come home from Iraq and he had just been hit with an IED, had a brain injury. Saw two of his guys get killed. Saw a few of his, and so, and I joke with him because that's how military guys do. I said, I'm going to come out to your house one day with a Sharpie. And I'm going to draw a little smiley face on that bullet because you can't shoot yourself with a bullet with a smiley face on it. It's impossible. But now he's in a better place. He's gone through some dark times, but he just lives like 3 blocks from me, and I blow his phone up. I'm like, if I don't hear back from you within a day, I'm driving you nuts. And and he appreciates it. He likes it, and so just stuff like that. We have a different connection because we're friends, and I know what he's been through. But yeah, just a simple text, a simple hey, how you doing? A beer, a water. Let's just something simple is the easiest way to start.
I think that's huge advice. I mean, I'm sure, people, like you said, think that they're smiling and laughing and hanging out with you, and you just automatically assume that nothing's wrong. But you never know what's going on.
Guys are the best actors in the world because you will never know what's wrong with somebody. I mean, I'm sure you guys know you hurt yourself at work. I'm not telling my wife. I'm fine. I'll get through it. It'll go away. And then 2 days later, she sees you can't pick the trash bag out of the trash can because you're hurt. Then you finally say something. Well, a lot of these guys with mental illness and stuff like that, PTSD, by the time anybody notices, it's too late. And, then they are in such a rabbit hole that you can't help them no matter what you say because they've just gone over that edge. So simple things. That's my thought. Like I said, I'm not an expert on it. I don't know. I've never directly had a military buddy commit suicide. Brian was a Navy guy, but it was nothing related to that. So yeah, that's my best answer.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I mean, that's hearing a different side of it, because we can give financially in some aspects, but I think kind of like TJ was saying, that just making someone not feel alone, goes dividends.
A lot of them guys are more. They will take the friendship and the just being with somebody else and having an ear more than they'll take money. Because I mean, most veterans, I'm sure you guys have heard this before. Most veterans don't even like people walking up and going, "Thank you for your service." It makes us uncomfortable. It does. I cringe. I'm like, "You're welcome. Appreciate it. Thanks." Whatever. We don't like hearing it because that's not why we did it. We didn't do it to come home and get the big pat on the back. And so if you show somebody attention that's going through a dark time, then it'd be like, hey, okay, that guy's cool. I like talking to him. Maybe I'll talk to him tomorrow again. Maybe I'll go down and talk to him next week. If I see him mowing his grass, I'll stop him. Just something simple like that can be bigger than you can even imagine.
Yeah.
So. And as far as all this goes today, unfortunately, what Hank and Nikki had to go through to set this up is unfortunate. And God, I feel for them. And, Hank and Nikki are them kind of people that I like seeing a lot of people that I know. I really do. But I genuinely enjoy seeing Hank and Nikki because they're just that good people. And for something like this to happen to them is awful. But for Hank to set this up and do this is amazing. For you guys to interview him the first time and then come out here today and give this a platform is thank you guys. You know, I appreciate it. I don't know how many guys follow you, and I don't even care if it's 2, I don't care if it's 10, I don't care if it's 100. You guys showed up, you guys did this, and, you know, you're getting it out there to everybody. And I got a new friend, I think.
All right. Well,
So,
thanks, Bill.
all right, man.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, definitely
Great
appreciate you guys
advice.
for doing this.
Great advice.
All right. Thanks, guys.
man.